Here are 10 must-read fantasy books recommended by some of Booktube's biggest stars. Now, since joining this platform, I have received so many incredible recommendations from fellow booktubers, and today I just want to highlight 10 booktubers that in my opinion have given some incredible recommendations. Now, obviously, there's way more than 10 big booktubers, so there's potential for part 2. But without further ado, let's get into it. So let's start with arguably the biggest booktuber on this platform. I think she's the biggest. Pham. Now, she doesn't primarily read adult fantasy, but she has read one of my favorite books that she would recommend, and that is
Brandon Sanderson is king of fantasy, and I need to read a book by him. So I picked up Mistborn.
Okay, I am so glad that she loved Mistborn, and in my opinion, this is definitely the best adult fantasy recommendation she has given on her channel, at least that I've discovered. Now, she did give the book 4 stars, but she was on the verge of 4.5.
The more that I think about it, the more I feel like it's a 4.5.
Which in my book definitely means that she loved and would have recommended this book to most of her viewers. Now, if you watch my channel, then you know that this is the series that got me into fantasy, or at least one of the series. Don't worry, I'll reveal the other 2 series later in this video. But yeah, I just really hope that Pham actually goes on and continues for the rest of the series, because the other 2 books are also so good, and how fun would it be if Pham just became a huge Brando Sanderson fan? I would just love that. Now, if you don't know much about this book, then Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson is an ideal starting point for anyone new to fantasy. It's set in a world where ash constantly falls from the sky and the oppressed live under a tyrant known as the Lord Ruler. Now, what makes this world so unique is the magic system called allomancy, where certain people can ingest and burn metals to gain extraordinary abilities, anything from enhanced strength to manipulating emotions. Now, the story follows Vin, a street thief who discovers her allomantic powers and joins a crew plotting to overthrow the Lord Ruler. I mean, what I love about Mistborn is just it's very accessible, it feels very fresh, and the first book is just perfectly paced. It's a perfect recommendation for anyone looking to get into fantasy. Okay, booktuber number 2, I want to highlight Daniel Greene. Okay, Daniel Greene, he is the one that introduced me to Booktube, and I could easily have mentioned at least 20 or maybe even 50 books or series that he has recommended. He's literally one of the key reasons why I fell in love with fantasy. So just choosing one recommendation that I think is arguably his best recommendation, at least when it comes to me, is
my personal baby, the one I'm the biggest fan of. It literally helped raise me as a child, The Wheel of Time.
Okay, obviously, I had to include a Wheel of Time recommendation here because The Wheel of Time was also one of the first series I read when I got into fantasy that also helped me fall in love with the genre. I literally read all the 14 or actually 15 books back to back, and I loved it. And I loved watching Daniel Greene's reviews and his deep dives into the series. I mean, I'm so glad I read it. And he said that book 14 is his favorite in the series, which is a bit of a surprise because that technically isn't a book written only by Robert Jordan. But yeah, it's definitely one of the greatest, if not the greatest conclusions I've ever read to a series, and I totally understand why this book is on here. If you are a fan of epic fantasy, I know it's not for everyone, please go and check out Daniel Greene's recommendation of The Wheel of Time. I picked it up because of him, and I think most of you will also probably love it. If you don't know anything about Wheel of Time, then The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan is an epic journey spanning 14 books and follows a group of young villagers whose lives are upended when they're swept into an ancient prophecy. Now, central to the prophecy is the Dragon Reborn, a powerful figure destined to either save or destroy the world in the fight against the Dark One, a force of evil. Now, guided by the Aes Sedai sorcerer Moraine, the group journeys through a richly developed world filled with diverse cultures, magical beings, and ancient mysteries. Now, while Wheel of Time has its slow burn moments, it all builds up to A Memory of Light, the final book co-written by Brandon Sanderson. This last installment is widely celebrated as one of the best in the series, delivering a satisfying and emotional conclusion that feels like a true payoff for the epic journey. I absolutely love Wheel of Time. Okay, without further ado, let's go to book number 3. On number 3, we have Merphy Napier. Obviously, I had to include a recommendation from Merphy Napier, and again, similar to Daniel Greene, it was so hard to only pick one recommendation to really highlight that I think is one of the best recommendations she's ever given. But the book that I think is probably my favorite recommendation she has given me is
The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. If you don't know, this is my favorite series. I love it so much.
Okay, of course, Lies of Locke Lamora. I mean, she loves this book, and I picked it up because of her. I mean, it took me a while, but when I finally read it, I absolutely adored it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I definitely understand why Merphy loves this book so much. Now, I haven't continued the series yet, but I'm definitely planning to. And yeah, Liza Lockamora is genuinely one of my favorite books. So thank you so much, Merphy. And yeah, if you don't know much about this book or series, then The Liza Lockamora by Scott Lynch is a thrilling heist story set in the gritty Venetian-inspired city of Camor. The novel follows Lockamora, a master thief and con artist who leads a band of clever criminals known as the Gentleman Bastards. Now, they're not just common thieves. They specialize in elaborate cons targeting the city's wealthy elite while avoiding the wrath of Camor's powerful underworld boss, Kappa Barsavi. So yeah, if you enjoy a good heist, really great prose, and yeah, that gritty world building, then you should definitely check out this novel. And you can arguably read the first book as a standalone. On to book number 4. Now, speaking of reading books, if you're on the hunt for the ultimate reading chair, then let me introduce you to the XC6 swivel rocking chair by today's sponsor, FlexiSpot. Now, this chair is designed with comfort and versatility in mind, making it perfect for reading, watching TV, or even sneaking in a quick nap. Now, this chair features an effortless recline, a swivel base, and a smooth rocking motion, letting you find your ideal relaxation spot. Now, the XC6 also boasts premium fabric and plush filling for maximum coziness, plus concealed storage space to keep your reading essential close at hand. And to top it all off, FlexiSpot provides a peace of mind with a 3-year warranty and a 60-day free return policy. And excitingly, right now, during the FlexiSpot's Black Friday sale, you can save up to 10% site-wide on their website and also enjoy an exclusive £280 off this chair when you use my link in the description. I have absolutely loved this chair and I would definitely recommend it. A huge thank you to FlexiSpot for sponsoring today's video. And as I already kind of said, I think your reading nook deserves an upgrade. Okay, the next booktuber I wanted to highlight is my boy Mike's book review. And I think that the best recommendation he has given me is
First Law Universe, and we're kicking it off right back at the very beginning, guys, with 2007's The Blade itself.
Obviously, I had to mention the First Law Universe. He is actually the one that initially brought this series to my attention, and I am so glad he did. This has genuinely become one of my all-time favorite series. Now, while I love the First Law trilogy, I think its sequel trilogy, Age of Madness, is genuinely top-tier grim dark fantasy with some of the best characters out there, and Abercrombie's writing is just next level. So yeah, if you enjoy grimdark, really brilliant characters and a surprising amount of humor, then you need to check out the First Law Universe. I said it before, but Joe Abercrombie is simply just a genius, and I can't wait to check out his most recent novel coming out next year, The Devils, which is going to be a non-First Law novel. So yeah, that's going to be interesting for sure. But yeah, the First Law trilogy by Joe Abercrombie is a gritty, character-driven series that upends a lot of classic fantasy tropes. Now, it's set in a brutal, war-torn world, and it follows 3 deeply flawed characters: Logan Ninefingers, a battle-worn barbarian haunted by his violent past; Inquisitor Glokta, a crippled torturer with a razor-sharp mind; and Giselle Dan Luther, an arrogant nobleman thrust into conflicts beyond his control. Now, each character's journey reveals the darker sides of ambition, loyalty, and survival. Now, the story itself takes you through political intrigue, betrayal, and bloody battles, all with Abercrombie's trademark dark humor. And yeah, one thing I will say about the First Law Universe is that there's no like only good or bad guys. I mean, the characters are so more complex, but yeah, that's why I love it so much. Okay, book number 5 I want to highlight is the PeruseProject. I mean, similar to a lot of the other booktubers, she's also given me so many great recommendations, but I think that her best recommendation, at least from the videos I've been looking at, is
Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee. I love this series.
Okay, the Greenbone Saga. Now, I'm not really sure if she was the first one that brought it to my attention, but without a doubt, this is one of my all-time favorite series and definitely one of my all-time favorite trilogies. I love the series so much, and I just feel like if you watch my channel, then you know that I love going on and on and on about how incredible I found this trilogy to be. But yeah, if you're looking for something that I would just simply define as fresh to the genre, that has incredible character work, fantastic pacing, and a lot of political intrigue, then you need to check out this series. Now, the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee is an action-packed, character-driven trilogy that blends fantasy elements with modern crime drama. Now, it's set on the island of Caicon, and it follows 2 rival families, the No Peak and the Mountain clans. who wield jade to gain superhuman abilities. Now, jade is a cultural symbol and a coveted resource used by the Greenburn warriors to protect and control their territory. Now, at the heart of the saga are the members of the Cole family who lead the No-P clan and must navigate family loyalty, shifting alliances, and the devastating cost of power. As Kekon modernizes and foreign interests threatens their way of life, the clans are pulled into intense battles over Jade's future and the control of the island. Oh, it's so good. I mean, every single book in this series is just phenomenal, and I think that the series just gets better and better for every single book you read. But yeah, most of you know how much I love this one, so without further ado, let's go to the next booktuber. Okay, the next booktuber I want to highlight is Elliot Brooks. She's also one of the first booktubers I started watching, and I love her content. And without a doubt, the series that she has recommended to me that I'm so glad she brought to my attention is
Winnowing Flame trilogy, which would be Ninth Reign, The Bitter Twins, and The Poison Song.
Yes, the Winnowing Flame trilogy. I am a huge fan of strange and weird fantasy, and without a doubt, the Winnowing Flame trilogy is some of the strangest fantasy I have ever read. Now, actually, when I picked up the Ninth Reign initially, I was writing my dissertation and I did not connect with it at all. So initially, I actually DNF'd it, but I waited another month, picked it back up, and I ended up loving it. I'm so glad I stuck with it because I ended up falling in love with all the characters, the world building, and the Ninth Reign even won an award for the best British fantasy novel in, I think it might have been 2019. So yeah, you don't even have to take my word or Elliot Brooks' words, only because yeah, it has gained like proper recognition. Now, the Winnowing Flame trilogy by Jen Williams is a fresh and imaginative take on epic fantasy, and is set in a world threatened by an ancient alien race known as the Juralia, or the Worm People. Now, every few centuries, the Juralia returns to lay waste to humanity, and each time they're driven back by the Eborians, these long-lived warriors who are now in decline due to a mysterious blight on their life-giving tree. The story follows three unlikely heroes, Thor, an Eborian warrior struggling with his people's fading powers, Vintage, a scholar obsessed with understanding the Juralia, and Noon, a fugitive witch with rare powers of her own. Together they uncover ancient secrets and form a reluctant alliance to protect their world from the Juralia's latest invasion. So yeah, if you want some modern fantasy that literally has like huge giant bats that you can ride on, worm people, huge godlike animals, and like UFOs and stuff, then check out the series. It's like nothing I've ever read. Okay, the next booktuber I want to highlight is Jay from Captured in Words. Without a doubt, the booktuber I think that has the best editing in the game and a fantastic personality. And similar to all the other booktubers here, he's given me so many fantastic recommendations, but I think the best recommendation he has given me is not Name of the Wind, because don't tell anyone, I haven't read it yet, but this.
I'm gonna be recommending the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson.
Obviously, so many booktubers recommend Stormlight, but when I think about booktubers that do content about Stormlight and love the series, he's definitely one of the first ones I think about. I mean, that guy literally just posted a 2-hour and 45-minute in-depth summary recap of Words of Radiance. I mean, his dedication to providing everyone with high-quality Stormlight Archive content is just mad. Now, I've only read the first 3 books in the Stormlight Archive yet, but yeah, I think that this series is basically like a superior version of Mistborn, with higher stakes, greater character arcs, and the world building is just top notch. But I feel like if you're watching this video, then you've probably heard so much about Stormlight. I don't really feel like I need to give you an in-depth explanation about what the series is about. So yeah, if you want to learn more about Stormlight, maybe just go to Capture in Words channel, subscribe to him, and have a look at some of his videos. Okay, the next booktuber I want to highlight is Bookborn. Now, I know I keep mentioning this, but Bookborn as well has given me so many incredible recommendations. But without a doubt, there is one series that in my mind has been the best recommendation she has given me, at least. And that is without a doubt
Dandelion Dynasty.
Yes, the Dandelion Dynasty. I think in my last top 10 ranking, I actually put the series number 2 or 1. Yes, I rate this series that highly, and that genuinely means that Bookborn has recommended a series to me that has become one of, if not my all-time favorite series. Genuinely, when I read the series, it just blew my mind. I mentioned it many times in the past, but I think that Ken Liu is arguably the most underrated fantasy author I've ever come across, because he's just an exceptional genius when it comes to analyzing themes, writing character arcs, and introducing something so fresh to the fantasy genre. Now, I have to give you a bit more detail about the Dandelion Dynasty in hopes that some of you will actually pick up the series. Now, the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu is an epic silk punk fantasy inspired by Chinese history, blending elements of mythology, engineering, and political intrigue. It's set on the islands of Dara, and it follows the rise and fall of empires centered on the journey of 2 central characters, Kunigaro, a witty bandit with dreams of greatness, and Matasindu, a fierce warrior driven by honor and revenge. Though they begin as allies, their paths diverge as they strive to unify Dara under their contrasting ideals. Now, the series explores the complexity of power, loyalty, and cultural legacy as the people of Dara invent intricate machines, confront moral dilemmas, and navigate shifting alliances. And there's so much more to be said. I've actually made a full video called I Read 50 Plus Series, and this is the most underrated. Please go check that one out if you want to learn more about the series. Okay, book number 9 is a booktuber that technically isn't really a booktuber anymore, maybe a bit. Man Carrying Thing. And without a doubt, I think his best fantasy recommendation is
The Gunslinger, Stephen Reginald King. That's not his middle name, but I'm gonna go with that. This book was seriously one of the best books I've ever read, full stop.
Yes, The Dark Tower. Very similar to Danline Dynasty and Greene Saga. If you watch my channel, then you just know that this is one of my all-time favorite series, and similar to the Winning Flame trilogy, one of the reasons why I love it so much is because of its unique and strange world building. I mean, the audacity of Stephen King to write a series that's horror, western, epic fantasy, and has a lot of really strange meta elements, and literally every single book is just absolutely absurd in its own way. It's just, yeah, I just have such a huge respect for King for writing a series like this one. Now, the Dark Tower series by Stephen King is an ambitious and sprawling epic that combines elements of fantasy, horror, western, and follows the journey of Roland, the last gunslinger, as he seeks the elusive Dark Tower, a mystical structure that serves as the nexus of all universes. Now, the first book, The Gunslinger, introduces readers to Roland as he traverses a desolate landscape in pursuit of the mysterious Man in Black. The narrative unfolds through a series of non-linear flashbacks revealing Roland's troubled past, his relentless determination, and the moral complexities of his quest. The Gunslinger sets the tone for the entire series, blending surreal imagery with philosophical musings. It's a haunting and atmospheric introduction to Roland's world, laying the groundwork for the epic saga that follows as he confronts both external foes and his inner demons in the pursuit of the Dark Tower. It's definitely a series I would love to see so much more on Booktube. It's genuinely genius. Now, in my opinion, The Gunslinger is the weakest book in this series. It's not bad, and I can guarantee you that you will come to appreciate it if you finish the whole series. Just believe me on this point. But yeah, if you're able to read book 1, which is a short book, I think most of you will fall in love with the series at book number 2. But yeah, Jake from Man Carrying Thing, he loved the first book, so you might as well. And the 10th and last booktube I want to highlight in this video is no other than Dr. Fantasy Philip Chase, and he recommended
J.R.R. Tolkien, author of The Lord of the Rings.
Obviously, Lord of the Rings. Now, I have to mention here that Philip Chase is not the reason why I picked up The Lord of the Rings, and he has given me so many great recommendations, but I definitely think that one of the best recommendations he has ever given me is The Lord of the Rings, and he has really helped me to love and understand the series in a whole different way. I actually made an interview recently with him where we discussed why is The Lord of the Rings so good after 75 years, which you should definitely check out now. Oh, you're still here and you want more? Well, the good news is that I have a Viking book club on my Patreon. If you join my Patreon, then you get access to an exclusive book club where every single month we read one book together and the book can be put forward by you. If you join tier 3 or 4, then you can put a book forward and then I randomly choose a book from the pot that we end up reading together, and throughout the month we discuss the book on the Patreon chats, and then we also have Zoom hangouts, which honestly are some of my favorite times of the month. This month we're reading this book, and next month we're gonna be reading this book. Also, since I launched my Patreon, I basically spent my money back into the channel on video editing. I've had more than 40 videos professionally edited, so if you want to support what I do here and also help me upload more consistently, then I'll leave a link in the description down below.